What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with another Pound for Pound ATL, joined by my main man, Toby D, as always. And we're back together again talking about scheme type stuff, talking about playbook kind of stuff. This is part 2 of the quarterback series. We already done one on Marcus Mariota. So if y'all hadn't checked that out, please go back and look at that, because that was a real fun video to do. But as we are going to roll into camp with a quarterback battle for the first time in a while, I figured we needed to go ahead and do Desmond Ridder as well. So here we are to do Desmond Ridder. What's going on, Toby D? How are you, brother?
Hey, man, nothing much, man. Look, hey, if y'all haven't subscribed to the channel and you watching this, please subscribe, because, man, we got more videos coming like this. We're going to keep it going, even though we're in the dead period. Man, I'm doing good, though. How about
Yeah, it's
yourself?
not too bad. We're recording this on Sunday, and this is going to come out on Tuesday. But and also, like, obviously, this is taking place of our live stream this week. I have a commitment that's going to keep me away from the live stream. But I just want to take a moment to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there that watch our content. Keep doing y'all. Keep being part of those kids' lives. It's shown more and more that it is so important to be involved in with your kids. So continue doing that, and Happy Father's Day to y'all. All right, Toby. Desmond Ridder, third round pick. Not necessarily expect a ton out of him, kinda. And I only say that because we don't really have a starting quarterback. So we can't completely just dismiss him, as a fan base, like maybe the Patriots were able to do years ago with Jimmy Garoppolo, or the Packers fans have been able to do with Jordan Love. Okay. We have to take into account that Ridder may be our future. So if Ridder may be our future, we need to take a look at what is he, comfortable with, that our coaching staff is also familiar with calling. Where are the convergent points? Where are the similarities? Those kind of things. And that's what we've been doing really for the past 2 weeks is diving into Ridder's tape to see what he's comfortable with, what he's run a lot of. Because I know going into the process, I've said it, you said it, other people have said it, that the Cincinnati Bearcats run a lot of the similar concepts. Well, similar doesn't always mean exactly the same, but there should be some things there that should look familiar enough for us to go, okay, there's a point there. But before we really dive into that, I want to dive into Ridder as a QB in general. From a stats perspective, stats don't always tell all the story, but it does help to paint a picture. 2021 was statistically his best year. He threw for a little over 3,000 yards, and it was 3,300 yards. Threw for 30 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Now, the reason why I bring that part up is interceptions. He's never really thrown a ton of interceptions, but the 30 touchdowns, now that was an anomaly, because in 2018 he threw 20. In 2019 he threw 18 touchdowns, and in 2020 he threw 19 touchdowns. So he's been around a 20 touchdown guy, but he was able to balloon into a 30 touchdown guy this past season. And I think a lot has to do with some of the formations and stuff they were running, which I think will help him once he gets here into Atlanta. Now, my biggest concern is something me and you had talked about, not necessarily with him, but it's converting third downs into first downs. And that, if you look at his percentage-wise, his completion percentage, on first and second down, it's well north of 67% on second down, 72% on first down. But now you get into third down, that money down, it drops down to 54%, on first and 1 to 3 yards to go. 4 to 6 yards to go, it's a 46%. And then, 7 to 9 yards to go, it's 42%. I get it. He's getting lit up. One thing I did notice, and I wonder if you noticed the same thing. He should be accustomed to now playing behind a porous offensive line. because Cincinnati's offensive line, at least in 2021, wasn't as good as I think he was used to playing, and that probably has a lot to do with those third down numbers. But was third down any concern on your part?
Well, I'll tell you why not a concern. So, Stathead,
Right.
Partner of the Pro Football Reference,
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that Marcus Mariota, and just about him and Marcus Mariota and Matt Ryan had high numbers when it comes to third down percentage. So that means when you got quarterbacks that, what I'm curious to see is what type of plays are they going to put in to help those quarterbacks have success when they get to those third downs. Now, you would like to keep quarterbacks out of third downs as much as possible. And this is something that I'm looking for Arthur Smith to get back to, because if you notice, sometimes Arthur Smith would get in them second down, and it might be second down and 3, and he would call an explosive play to keep that quarterback from going into a lot of those third downs and just convert from second down back to first as much as you possibly could. So, and you keep, the way to do that is you got to keep teams off balance. You know, the defense is off balance with what you're calling too. And I think you're going to be able to help Ridder be able to do that. Should he be the guy to start eventually somewhere in the future?
Right. And now, so that's as far as like I said, as far as the numbers portion of the equation, that was the only part that really like concerned me was third down production. But it also made sense to me because, like I said, Cincinnati, the games I watched, there were plenty of times where Ridder was getting lit up relatively quickly. So, but that leads into where can Ridder have success? Like, what are some of the plays that would deem be successful, high percentage type plays, ones that he's used to running. Now, when I was watching Cincinnati, one thing I did notice is they run a ton of 2x2 formations. They like to use a lot of mirrored routes, mirrored concepts, doing the same thing on both sides of the field to give Ridder a chance on whichever way he's rolling out. But the first play that I want to bring up here is, now I took as many as I could really from the Alabama game, because I know people want to be like, oh, well, he didn't play nobody, playing in Cincinnati. So I really focused heavily on the Alabama game, seeing where he was successful against that caliber of defense. So the first one up is this play action under. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to bring up the diagram. And you see here on this diagram, it's a 2x2 formation. It's a condensed formation, which really caught my eye because that is something that Arthur Smith likes to do a lot, is likes to make defenses run through mud, I call it. And they did yet here again. Now, on this particular play, as I'm going to play the play here in just a second, you have the underneath guy who is lined up like almost in a tight end spot, but obviously he's not a tight end. He's a slot receiver. But he's in that same like location as what another tight end would be. When the ball is snapped, everybody goes out to block. He runs underneath the formation, and then Ridder rolls out and hits him for a nice gain. So let's take a look at that now. So let's see. Oh, yep, here we go. Oh, y'all gonna have to bear with me on this video. So you see Ridder making his calls and his checks, which is something that I'm intrigued by. He goes up underneath, and Ridder rolls out and hits him for a real nice gain, because everybody gets, everybody gets like clogged up with everything that's going on in the middle, and he's able just to squirt out and find a nice crease. Now, that play reminded me a lot of, I think it was 2016. It was either in the Green Bay game or the Seattle game during the Atlanta Falcons playoff run, where Julio Jones basically did about the same thing. And the reason why I bring that up is to point out that it doesn't have to be Olamide Zaccheaus or Damiere Byrd running that type of route. Right. You could do that with a Drake London. You could do that with a Brian Edwards. Which that's something we may get into when we get to the wide receiver video here in a couple days or whatnot. But that play was an interesting and encouraging play to me, because that's something that I've seen multiple teams call. That's a pretty common play there.
So when you get to those play action rollout passes, right? Those are successful passes with mobile QBs. And if you get a chance because of that threat that you have of being able to run your ball yourself, you being able to roll out like that, and it gives that guy a chance to be able to get open and you can hit him because of that threat, because you pull them linebackers up and stuff, so they can't be out there to really, block, to really be able to guard out there in the flats and be able to protect against you running the ball at the same time. So when you're able to suck them up in there like that, that makes it very explosive. And I like this play because when we get to the other play, when we start talking about the RPO, it made the RPO look kind of similar, which got Alabama that time too. So that's what excites me, and that's why I see them being able to run plays like this that look just alike, keeping the defenses off balance.
The one thing I did notice with Ridder, with him throwing on the run, it seemed like if it was a designed rollout, it was a much better throw for him than if it was on like a scramble drill, per se. So that was something I did notice when he was rolling out and throwing on the run. He looked much better than if he was escaping the pocket and then trying to reset, find somebody and throw. So, I'm sure some QB savant would be like, well, yeah, no duh. But that was just something that I noticed there. Let's go ahead and look at that RPO rollout that you were, that outside zone roll. Oh, wrong one. This button. There it is. Okay. So this is an outside RPO, and, you can tell that they're reading the defensive end, which I have marked with an X on this diagram here. And when Ridder notices that defensive end crashes in, that's when he holds the ball and rolls out. One thing you do notice is that you have a guy lined up in a very similar, before the ball snapped, like Toby was talking about, the formation ends up looking a lot like that play action rollout formation that we just watched. So again, you're using the same formations to come out with different plays, and that's something that Arthur Smith does quite a bit with all of his motions. That's the point of all that. So let's go ahead and take a look at this RPO. Right, so, yep. All right, so now he reads that defensive end. The defensive end crashes down, and then Ridder just takes off and just about gets the first down himself. And if he doesn't get it, he's real close to getting it. And it's a simple, RPO, but because of the earlier play action rollout, it makes the defense have to think. There's nothing like mind blowing about that RPO, but paired with our outside game that we end up running anyway, that Arthur Smith likes to run, that outside run game, you bet your bottom dollar you're going to see some outside runs by either Ridder or Mariota.
Yeah. And that's exactly true. I mean, you see a lot of inside, they call them zone reads, where they're in the shotgun, but they fake like they're going to give it to the quarterback, to the wide running back, and then all of a sudden the quarterback sprints to the outside, either to the right or to the left. You saw that a lot with Marcus Mariota in that Raiders game where, he messed him up. He must have had like 8 first downs just faking that, RPO zone read where he just takes it to the right side and he's gone.
And now you run that with, behind somebody like an Algier who, spent time as a linebacker. You can watch him in his running style. He isn't afraid to hit people. Now you have him running. Something I was watching that UCF game, Cincinnati UCF, and they ran a handful of like quarterback draws with, or I guess you could call them quarterback powers with the, running back as the lead blocker. And that's something I should have pulled that because that would have been interesting to talk about. But I could easily see them doing something along that nature with Ridder, with either Keith Smith or Tyler Algier, or a combination of the two.
I'm glad them QB draws should be a huge factor for somebody like Ridder and Marcus Mariota too. But man, he had a lot of success running them QB draws. So yeah, I do expect that to be something that they add in there for him to be able to have success
Yep,
with.
I completely agree. Like I'm kind of kicking myself now for not pulling at least one of those clips. But anyway, let's keep on moving to another one that I really enjoyed was this scissors. Now I got the diagram up, and when I do play this play, it's going to be in. If the copyright people are nice to us, you'll be able to see a very slow motion version of this play, and I did it that way on purpose so you could see what it does. But this scissors play, is really meant to 100% cause like defenses to crash into each other, and that's exactly what it does. The inside guy that ends up running that post route, that corner. Is that post? No, that would be the corner of the end zone. So it's the corner route. Sorry, I'm trying to like really get all these terminologies right in my head. I could see it, I just don't want to call it wrong. So with the two the two, I'm gonna say this right. It's the boundary side receivers. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so the two boundary receivers, when they cross up at about the 35-yard line, they cause three defenders to run into each other. And the inside receiver, squirts out and he's by himself, and Ridder hits him with that nice post route over the top for, I believe it's either for a touchdown or for like right at the goal line. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now that I've butchered that explanation.
It's all good. Hey, man.
Some days your brain just locks up on you.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's one I want. Okay. So I get it in slow motion here. And you see all three of those defenders. And, the Cincinnati guy, I believe it's the tight end, comes out on the end. And I can easily see that being Kyle Pitts that takes that. Now, that guy gets caught. But I don't think Kyle Pitts would have got caught on that one. But that was a play that,
he got
I saw, because we have those playbook manuals that we have come to enjoy reading, and that one was in there in the Bears book. Which the reason why that's important is because of guys like Charles London and Dave Ragone that are here now. But though that scissors concept works well with the meshes that we've seen them trying to do, the condensed formations, all that, trying to get these defenders, the goal, it seems like the goal of Arthur Smith is to have a receiver pop out of a mound of traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a play that Ridder had some success with, those type of corner routes. And hitting his guys over the top. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if I still got it up. We'll take a look. Let's see here. In throws of, he had in 2021 he had 88 completions of 15 plus yards and 34 completions of 25 plus yards. So, that deeper mid to deep is something that he had actually some pretty decent success with.
Yeah. You want to be able to have an arm to be able to really test defenses and driving that ball downfield, and Ridder definitely can do that. Those scissor concepts are similar to me, like what you have in a bunch sets. They are a quarterback's best friend, and it gives them easy reads, and it confuses the defense as well. What you saw on that one, what the guy almost had a touchdown. And usually in those, from what I have been studying about them concepts, is that usually in most cases it's a post route heading toward the post and a deep corner route, which both of those are routes that we love to run in our offense. And you have to be able to run either one of those if you want to be an Atlanta Falcon, because we have a lot of success off those posts and those deep corner routes, what you saw us do last year quite a bit.
Yep, and I think now you got the guys in here that can benefit from those type of routes, the ones that the Drake Londons and the Brian Edwards, and obviously your speed guys. But those bigger guys who can wall off a defender with their body and go up
Yeah.
and high point a ball. I think you're going to see a lot of those type of routes, and so I felt like it was important to show that that corner route on that scissors concept there. All right, the last one we're going to show is one of my favorites is that curl flat. It was called, in the Chicago's book, it was called the Hank variation. But then again, this is what I was talking about earlier when you had the mirrored concept. You come out again in that same like bunch 2x2 formation, not bunch, but a condensed 2x2 formation. Almost looks very similar to the play action under route and very similar to that outside zone. These are all, so this would be a third different play variation out of that, type of a formation where you have the inside guys running flat routes flat routes, and the outside guys running curl routes. Just does a nice clear out. You are man, my brain is locked up today.
Don't worry about this. Come on, we're gonna get through it.
There we go. I know, right? It's like normally I'm generally pretty good about just keeping going, but my brain just doesn't want to spit out the words I'm trying to say. I know some of y'all probably had that happen. Anyway, so with these,
I do.
with these like almost high-low concepts that you have two high-low concepts on each side of the field, and you're making the defenders have to choose and declare who's coming where. And so with the way they both break, they force the cornerbacks to almost back up and create that space that you're looking for. So let's take a look at the actual play itself. And there's the button. So when they break out, and like the flats are open immediately, and with the flats being open like they are, that's an easy read there, but there's a pocket for the curl, the comeback, that curl route, and which is what the one that Ridder takes, but it gives the quarterback, whether it be Ridder, whether it be Mariota, whoever, it gives them a nice cushion on either side of the field to be able to check a ball down and keep the drive moving. But it also gives you something to hit a little deeper down the field if you have the cushion. And in that particular play, they did have the cushion.
Yeah, those are going to be nice plays for guys like Drake London and Brian Edwards to be able to eat off of, especially with the big bodies that they have. And it's going to depend on how the corner is going to be playing them. That'll give them enough cushion to be able to turn that play back out and get more yards even after they catch the football. So I'm going to be interested to see, because I do believe we're going to run a lot of that, as well as slant passes. I think you're going to run a lot of passes that's going to help your offensive line have success this year, where they're not getting Mariota or Ridder eating up every time they try to go back, and throw the football. So, yeah, I love those plays. Now, those are plays I had a chance to really study yet, because I've been all over them books. So I haven't really locked down into those, Hank variations. But I do know, like you said, we've seen more similences to that Chicago book that we've been studying from the Dave Ragone and, Matt Nagy days together, especially that 2018 season.
Right. And that's something that, folks out there should take the time to go back and watch, some of those games with Trubisky, because I feel like they're going to lean heavily on those. And also, depending on who really wins the starting job, but these two guys are so similar in, Mariota and Ridder, in the way that they approach, their game and the way they play, that I think they're not going to have to change much. So you can really, if you wanted to, you could watch the Mariota video and this one as one homogeneous video, because either one could work well for what they do. We were just trying to take a look at the film that we have on these guys to see what the coaching staff might pull for comfort level for both of these guys. And to see multiple play, formations, especially for Ridder, that was in the playbooks of, Dave Ragone from his time at the Bears, or, in the playbooks of, that you like the condensed formation that you see Arthur Smith like to run. Like once you start doing this kind of digging, it's really easy to see why we picked the players that we picked. And we'll have even more of that, especially when we get into the wide receivers. I was talking to a coach on Friday at a camp that Jonathan Grenard from the Houston Texans was putting on out here in my hometown. And he was making comment about Drake London, talking about he was the 5th best wide receiver. Nah, I don't believe that, I don't think he was the 5th best wide receiver, especially not with reading some of the stuff that we've read about him, in comparison to Jamar Chase and even Calvin Ridley. But he was the best receiver at what we like to do,
And that is
That's
the key.
Right. That is the key. And that's something that we're going to dive into when we do this receivers videos coming up. But that's what we got for you today as far as this, Ridder playbook, video. We just wanted to give you some, some things to think on, some things to look at to see what will actually be beneficial and what types of stuff that we should be running if and when Ridder becomes the starter. As always, y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128, GRIMM1128. Toby?
Toby D 1991.
And if y'all haven't, y'all can like, share, subscribe. There's a Patreon if y'all want to be involved in that. There's merch if you want some of that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, this cool shirt isn't on there. But either way, we appreciate y'all's support. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up.